Hey guys, and welcome back to Eden. So, let's just jump right back in. Even among Felix's, her intellect stood out. She brought about many of the innovations used in the development of the colony ships, and played a crucial role in the successful launch of the first of many vessels. The girl had become a living legend. Her name would be carved deep into the annals of history. There are those who would call her a messiah, or even the goddess of salvation who swooped down to this dying planet. And now, she was in the room right next to us. Scion was a being known by all humanity, while simultaneously a character with far too many mysteries about her. As she never showed herself in public, there were people who doubted her very existence. I had personally thought of Scion on the same level as a goddess or hero out of a fairy tale. The fact that I was now living under the same roof as her, well, I couldn't believe it. There seems to be many who revere her, or whom revere her like a savior, but... Alicia giggled. To me, she's just an ordinary girl and a sleepyhead at that. Sleepyhead? Lavier went stiff and her mouth agape in contrast to Alicia's unfettered smile. Miss Alicia, you have an amazing way with words. I have known her since she was little. It is a privilege of someone who has been with her a long time. Since she was little. Scion, a Felix with perpetual youth and longevity. The girl I had seen numerous times in pictures was indeed quite young. However, she should have been many times older than me. Yes, since long ago. After all, I am a Felix as well, she said with a smile as if it were nothing. Interesting. So, Work ended uneventfully, and Lavier took me to the parlor room after dinner. Here, everyone was sitting in their little cliques, cheerfully chatting away. There were far less people than in the dining hall. It seemed only those ranked above non-commissioned officers were permitted here. Long story short, it was a room for officers, but because there were so few assigned to the facility, and this room was so spacious for them to use, or was too spacious for them to use alone, Major Inaba decided that he would permit even non-commissioned officers. It's such a surprise that Miss Alicia has a Felix too. Oh, this is a pretty picture. Fuck. Lavier and I got ourselves some coffee and sat down to relax. I'm a bit curious why a Felix is acting as a maid, but... She didn't really look like she wanted to talk about that. Well, everyone has their circumstances. Circumstances, huh? I could only think of the maid uniform as some kind of joke, but maybe there was some deeper reason for it? It was a puzzle. It's cute, so who cares? She's a rarity in this place filled with filthy men. It's not exactly a problem to have her around either. Exactly! Besides, as long as she's here, it'll help suppress the boredom. That might be the bigger problem. Problem? The boredom. Saying it won't help. She shrugged her shoulders and grinned. That's just the nature of guard work. We'd have a real problem if we were shooting up a storm. Nobody would attack a place like this. It's right in the center of the Unified Army surveillance zone. And it's also a solitary island, not even printed on maps. If anyone did happen to learn that this place existed, at a glance it would just look like a Western-styled house, and then the only mystery authors and the like would take any interest. A Western-styled mansion built silently on a deserted island, a mysterious young lady who doesn't show herself, and a maid who tends to her, and a butler who seems to be scheming something. Would that butler be Major Inaba? And a sullen young man who goes astray in the building and runs into a case related to its tragic past. A sullen, or by sullen young man, you mean me? How impolite. What would your part be? I would just take the role of the mysterious beauty who seizes the key to the case. What do you mean you'll just take the role of the beauty? There's a limit to how egotistical you can be. I took the coffee cup in my hand and took a light sip. It had the unmistakable taste of cheap instant coffee. Seriously speaking, I hope nobody here has been misassigned. It'll be fine. The Major thinks hard about the stationing of his subordinates. He's quite capable despite everything. Isn't he a bit overdue for a promotion? I realize this is an important institution, but not being in headquarters means he strayed from the fast track. This is just a rumor. They say he's refusing promotions. I don't know the reason, though. Refusing them? You can refuse a promotion? His father was also in the military, in general, apparently. He may have pulled some strings. He doesn't seem like someone who would rely on his parents' connections. But does he really want to stay at this rank that bad? I just don't get him. It might be because this place is surprisingly comfortable. If he got promoted to lieutenant colonel, he would have to leave his position as commanding officer of the guards and probably go to headquarters. He'd rather be the king of the castle here than working his way up to headquarters? Well, it's not like I don't understand that. The work here wasn't exhausting, and knowing how sloppy he was, it was probably just right. Actually, a new commanding officer might be a problem for me. If we end up with some neurotic superior who's fussy about regulations, then it would be awful if that happened. If that happened, I might have to kill him. Aw, that was just a little joke. Don't go silent on me. She sounded a little flustered. It didn't sound like much of a joke. There's no way I would actually kill him. The way she said it sounded like she could still do something as long as it didn't kill him. Well, the Major seems to be doing things at his leisure, so he probably won't be promoted for a while. There's always the possibility we'll be promoted and assigned elsewhere too. It'd be good if she didn't get court-martialized, or, whoops, marshaled, sorry, court-martialed, bleh. I don't know why I'm reading it as so weirdly. I don't know military stuff, okay? Well, not very well. And, sent away before she got that promotion. Oh, Warrant Officer Haruna, you just thought of something impolite, didn't you? No, not really. At least her intuition's sharp. I'd best remember that. I'm done with my coffee, so I'm going to head back to my room. Yeah, me too. I nodded and was about to walk away when she grabbed my shoulder. You know... She drew her face closer while lightly gripping my shoulder. She looked kind of hesitant. Oh, what is it? Don't you think it's a little weird? Ah, they're so cute! You mean Scion? Yeah. The sweet smell of her breath reached my cheeks. I had heard that she almost never comes out, but it's strange she won't even show her face to her guards. Doesn't that just mean she's shy? I'm not joking around. Also, I heard something. What? The truth is, Scion... It looked like my uneventful day was coming to an end. Being Scion's guard seemed to be an easy job, a tedious job, and also an inconsequential job. My partner wasn't hard to get along with, save her boisterous side. But not that she was much of an annoyance. In addition, an elusive maid and a genius scientist who wouldn't show herself. Not only could you call that strange, but what Lavier said lingered in my mind. It couldn't be helped that a mere guard such as myself would take an interest. There were no good points to this assignment, but few bad points, I suppose. Well, it was certainly a job unlike any I had experienced before, and it looked like it would make good practice for saving off boredom. Missions like this might be good for me once in a while. A few days had passed since I arrived at research facility number 703. The work was really boring. I couldn't help but think that kicking around newbies at the training academy might have been more amusing. Perhaps I should request a transfer to keep my ability sharp and, most importantly, not be bored to no end. With that on my mind, my time at this facility dragged on. Somewhere deep inside me, I probably understood. These boring, tranquil days would not continue forever. Work ended like always, and I returned to my room after eating dinner in the dining hall, which was packed terrifyingly so, just as Lavier had said. I unfastened the buttons on my uniform and flung my heavy holster onto the bed. The leather holster packed a 9mm semi-automatic handgun and made a nice thud as it landed. At the same time, there was a knock at my door. Yes? It's Inaba. May I come in? Please do. He swaggered in, carrying a bulging plastic bag in his right hand. Stop, as you were. He commanded me as I tried to salute. There is nobody around. Given the history of our relationship, don't worry about the formalities. What sort of relationship would that be? I clicked my tongue loud enough for him to hear. You seem grouchy, Ro. That's not true. But if you had some business with me, I could have come to you. It was quite unusual for a superior to come all the way to a subordinate's room, even if they had business. Well, I like to think I'm quite nimble on my feet, although the inside of this research facility is really the only place I can make use of them. That sounds terribly uncomfortable. Oh, that's right. Here, at your age, you could just eat and it'll never be enough, right? Make a midnight snack out of it or something. He grinned and handed me the plastic bag. I took it and peeked inside to find juice, pastries, and a pile of different kinds of dried provisions crammed within. Thank you. Here's your bill. You intended to sell them? I pushed the bag towards his hand, in which he held a small envelope. It's a joke. You're as stiff as ever, aren't you? Well, you're the one who went out of his way to prepare some props. Laughs are important, so make it a point to spare no expense. After a dry chuckle, he threw the envelope at me. I caught it somewhere around my chest. Major. Maybe it really was a bill. He silently walked up to the bed, picked up my holster, and drew the pistol. Whoa, looks like you've been using this a long time. Guns that have seen combat really are different. Mine looks good as new. It's because you're a commander. It would be a problem if this situation actually called for you to use your sidearm. Knowing my luck, I'd probably shoot an ally in the back if I did pull the trigger. He was fixated on the gun as he said something rather disturbing. Sorry guys, I keep taking pictures because it's so pretty. Suddenly, he ejected the magazine and pulled back on the slide to remove the round in the chamber. Major, what are you doing? You have one more, right? Take it out. It was the tone that wouldn't take no for an answer. There was no way I'd disobey. I took the small gun I had prepared on my ankle and handed it to him. This one looks pretty worn as well. Are you sure you're not a little too trigger happy? I just use it as part of my job. I wasn't particularly fond of guns, and wasn't the type who took any pleasure in firing them. It wouldn't be necessary for your current job. I'll need you to use your utmost discretion. I understood everything from his cold demeanor. No, I actually caught on a bit later than I should have. Ooh, your expression's changed. I opened the envelope and took out a single photograph. Sergeant Callis? Miguel, I guess. Or Michael, I don't know. Member of Research Facility number 703's Defense Squad, 3rd Platoon. from a combat engineering background, a rare German in our predominantly Japanese unit. A sharp young man with a short haircut was pictured. It was a face I had remembered seeing a number of times around the halls. We had not conversed, but I remembered he and Lavier seemed acquainted with each other. There seems to be many who don't think too fondly of our resident princess. No matter how many we send away, they're just replaced with more uninvited guests. It's quite a problem. That certainly is a problem. Anyone would recognize Scion as a prominently renowned scientist, and it could be said that the colony's ships would have been impossible to complete without her. But that wasn't all. As the leading figure in the Earth evacuation project, her political influence was by no means insignificant. Forces that opposed the project were given, but even those within the unified government which supported the project feared her power. We could always let them roam free. It would depend on how much information about this place the infiltrators have gotten their hands on. There have been some leaks, but it has all been within expectations. In that case, how about we flesh out their mastermind? No matter how many leaves and branches we trim, it'll be a makeshift solution at best. A radical cure would mean we'd have to shoulder immense risks as well. I don't mind just pruning the bushes for now. I pity the people who get sent here. I completely agree. It's their own bad luck for not being capable enough. Though I was the one who suggested fleshing out their mastermind, battles of intelligence weren't my specialty. Was the Major better at making these delicate decisions? Well, I don't think they'll make a move against Scion directly, so it's probably okay to leave well enough alone. It would be a problem if we didn't deal with it periodically, and then one day find a barn cat pillaging our garden. He shook his head and shot me a pointed glance. I want you to teach them what happens when they stick their hands in other people's bushes. Am I the snake in the grass? Your job is to guard Scion to the bitter end, Warrant Officer Haruna. Since you finally made it here, I figured I would put you to good use. You can think of it as part of your guard duty, and you'll be properly compensated for it on top of your salary. It'll be under the table, so it's not a bad deal. Which meant that this wasn't an official assignment. I took a fleeting glance at the plastic bag he brought. It didn't seem to contain just food and drinks. There's no way the money is out of your pockets. You must have a sponsor. As long as there are those who ostracize her, there will also be people who worship her. The world is relatively well balanced, Ro. You call something like that well balanced? So, when are we doing this? The sooner the better. In other words, immediately. It can wait if you need time to prepare. You never thought work like this would come around, did you? No, it feels more like it's about time. You'd be a fool if you just had me on guard duty. I turned over the photo in my hand. There were numerous notes written on the other side, like the target's room number and shifts. In the few days I'd been here, I had more or less figured out how all the platoons in the facility were arranged. This would be more than enough information. I'll go take a look. Should I also clean up afterwards? Just hide it somewhere fitting. Someone else will come to collect later. It would be more efficient to divide this job up. That would help. The work here really is easy. I'll say it one more time. The princess doesn't like disturbances. So I want you to quietly, peacefully, put him to sleep. Understood. It was faint, but the Major's voice was shaking ever so slightly. Was it some warped sense of pity for his subordinate, Sergeant Callus? Perhaps it was also a personal desire of his to be taken care of in a discreet manner? It seemed soft to me, but it wasn't a problem so long as it didn't impede his ability to get things done. I picked up the empty holster and turned to the door as I fixed the buttons on my uniform. Inaba walked through the hallways alone, late into the night. As usual, he had no escort, and of course, no orderly with him either. Inaba wasn't necessarily the type who liked to be alone, but he did admit he tended to think being alone was often more comfortable. Major! A figure suddenly materialized beside him, and called to him in nearly a whisper. A lady shouldn't be walking alone this late at night. I'll walk you back to your room. Do you really think that you can infiltrate an oasis of women that easily? Hey, why is Warrant Officer Haruna okay if I'm not? How did you get wind of his welcome party in the first place? Lavier made an astonished face and sighed. But that is all of the time that I have for this episode, guys. So if you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up down below. And I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!